Hello, everyone. Andrew and Kelly here, and welcome to yet another lovely, wonderful.
Mini.
What's the name of this show? Monthly movie mini reviews. I completely blanked on the name of this show,
But it's wonderful. You knew that.
but it is wonderful. I remembered all the appropriate adjectives. So, um, this is the show where we very briefly cover the movies we saw in a given month. This time, November 2021, which is why these often run several hours long, because
We're so succinct with
we are very concise.
Yep.
So I watched a few more movies than Kelly did last month.
Yep.
So we're going to do two from me, one from her. And just so you know, I hate all movies. So
yes.
I don't enjoy movies at all. They are all bad.
Yep.
So when I talk about how much I hate movies, that's why, because movies are bad and I don't like them.
And that's why we do.
That's why we do monthly movie mini reviews.
Because we're such anti-movie.
We're anti-film.
We're anti-film.
Our goal is to convince you that movies suck, because misery enjoys company, I guess. I don't know. Validate my feelings, internet. Validate them.
Oh, and I did. This is the one that I got I broke it in this
Whoops.
nail. So
you broke it so hard. It
broke it so hard.
No longer blue.
It is no longer blue.
All right. On November 8th, on Shudder, my horror streaming service, I watched a little movie from 1967 called Wait Until Dark.
Was that ever remade? Because that sounds like a very familiar title.
You know, I don't know. Let me look at the all-knowing IMDb real quick.
I mean, it's a very generic title. Could be anything, but it sounds.
There's one from Stacy Keach version in 1982. Let's see if it's just a movie with the same title. A videotape production of the Frederick Knott play in which three criminals play an elaborate scam on a blind woman who's in possession of a doll that, unbeknownst to her, is very incriminating. Yes. Okay. So it was remade in 1982. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the Audrey Hepburn version from 1967.
Oh.
It is bad. Like all movies are bad.
I know.
But I am a fair curmudgeon. So I will say that I really love the premise where
what you just read is a fascinating premise to me.
Yeah, bad guys try to con a blind lady. Yeah. That's a fine premise. There's a lot of cool stuff we can do there. And like I just read the description, the original was about there was a bad guys are trafficking drugs in a doll, like a porcelain doll, like they cut it open and stuff little packets of flour into it, and the mule is going to be captured at the airport at security or something. So she's like, hey dude, my sister's birthday is coming up and this doll is her present and I don't want her to see me with it, so could you hold on to it for just a second, then we'll meet up outside and la da 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 da. And then he never finds her again, so he ends up taking this doll home. And so, of course, the bad guys want to get this doll back, but then they can't find it. He's like, I totally lost it. So the idea is the guy goes off to work. And while he's at work, and Audrey Hepburn, who is blind, is home alone. This is basically Home Alone, except instead of young Kevin McAllister, a small child, you have an adult blind woman. So
does she set traps for them then?
Kind of. By the end of the movie, she does the whole I'm going to break all of the lights in here, and then she like spreads kerosene on the floor and is like, I will light you up, she does the whole Daredevil or Batman that you're in my world now kind of a thing.
Sure.
Now you see how I see. I know the lay of the land, but she does that kind of thing towards the end of the movie.
I've never seen these movies, but the Don't Breathe movie with the
Oh yeah.
I
I've
feel like
not seen either of them.
in the trailers though, like he goes, now you'll see what I see or something, and he breaks the lights and
But you're blind, you don't see anything. Yes,
yes.
that's what I was trying. That's what I was getting
I was
at.
trying
Yes.
to be dramatic.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, anyways, please continue.
So why is this, like all movies, bad? It is bad because though the premise is, I like the premise, it's got some fine ideas. I don't feel the execution works. And I don't feel the execution works because I didn't buy into any of the characters, specifically the bad guys' plan. It seemed overly complicated and unnecessary to the point where it feels like the movie is supposed to be a goofy comedy, but it's played completely straight. I mean,
see, the way you're describing it, I would agree with that. Like, I would think that this is a goofy comedy. The way that you're even describing it makes me think like this is going to be pretty funny. Like, it's
because these three
like,
bad guys are creating this elaborate thing where one guy poses as an old friend of the husband who's at work, and it creates this really elaborate backstory. And then one of the other guy comes in and poses as a police inspector, and it's very important that we cooperate with this. And then the other guy comes in and pretends to be like this long lost dude, and then he comes in wearing a disguise, doing a different.
And she's blind.
And she's blind. I'm like, this is staged like it's goofy and supposed to be funny, but it's played completely straight. But there's no tension, so it doesn't work. Now, I will admit that there is one tense sequence toward the end of the film.
I'm going to take a picture of what I see really quick and send it to you because this is just too much.
Yeah, I will say that Alan Arkin. Sorry, wrong Alan. Alan Arkin does a really nice job as the lead bad guy.
With Alan Arkin.
Yeah, he's actually fun as the lead bad guy, and he has a great moment because, as I was telling you, she turns off all the lights at the very end.
Yeah, and she does that.
She does that, and she's like, "Aha! I've got the upper hand." And he opens the refrigerator door, and the light from inside the fridge spills out. I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, that's really good. And there's a whole thing with being able to unplug the refrigerator that was set up earlier in the movie. I'm like, okay, that's aw. Yeah.
That's what's happening next to me.
Yeah, that's what Kelly's trying to deal with. She's trying to pay attention, but Olivia's being cute. Yeah, it's
do they get the doll? Let's talk about the end.
They eventually do yeah. It's I forget where it was, but there's like a neighbor girl who she ends up giving the doll to, who takes it away, and then she brings it back, and then they hide it in a trash can, and so like really you could have she's
so the bad guys win.
No, the bad guys lose. But I mean, they could have. I mean, they could have just kicked down the door and tossed the apartment and called it a day. There was really no need for this Mission Impossible level elaborate scheme to con this blind woman into find. It's like it is. The biggest problem I had with the movie really is I didn't buy any of the characters. They didn't make any. It's like, why are we doing this? And because the plan is so overly complex to the point of being goofy, it means there's no tension. Like I mean, the Naked Gun. I mean, the premise of the Naked Gun is there is an assassination plot to kill the Queen of England, I think, using regular people who can be instantly brainwashed. That's kind of a frightening idea, but would you say there's really any tension in The Naked Gun? No, because it's not that kind of movie. It's a goofy comedy. Wait Until Dark feels like it's supposed to be goofy and madcap and silly, kind of like a mad world or something. That kind of heightened reality funny, but it's played completely straight. So you have what's executed as a straight-faced thriller with no tension. So for me, it just didn't work.
I'm thinking about Leslie Nielsen, and he plays Drebin quite.
Oh, he plays him completely straight. That's why it's funny.
Exactly. So I'm wondering
if that's what they were going for.
If they were going for something like that, it's just totally like everything else missed the mark.
Well,
like it's just so weird because I think about it and I'm like, that's the thing that makes it so funny in things like Airplane or things like basically the oeuvre of Nielsen. Like it is because it's to him, it's so serious.
It doesn't.
But no, okay.
No. It feels like it feels like Nielsen understands he's in a comedy.
Yes.
No one else involved in Wait Until. I mean, Arkin's doing a fine job of being a genuinely threatening, creepy bad guy, but the plan is just so overly complicated, needlessly so, that it's kind of funny, but the movie doesn't appear to be actually played for laughs. Also, Audrey Hepburn is not a good actor.
I was going to ask about
bad.
Her.
I've never seen her bad, but she's like always, to me, she's always been fine, serviceable, adequate. I mean,
she's gorgeous though.
She's like very pretty. I guess that was her leg up.
Like, how does she play blind? Does she actually have glasses? Like, did they do that, or does she?
No, she just looks off into the middle distance.
Oh, okay, I was wondering how they decided.
Yeah, there's like 3 main ways to do blind people. One is to keep your eyes closed and to play your role like this. Another way is to use some type of either put on heavy glasses or use contacts that make your eyes look cataract or something like that. Or you do the Zatoichi thing where you roll your eyes up and do that. Or you just kind of stare off into the middle distance and not focus on anything particular, you know. Not knowing any sight impaired people, I have no idea how accurate any of these performances are to actual to real life,
right?
But that whatever, that's how she plays it. And
I know people that have like one either blind eye or glass that, like, I know one.
I know one person who has a false eye. I know another who has, boy, I hope this isn't a poor turn of phrase, but a lazy eye, an eye that doesn't point in the right direction. She needs glasses to correct it into the right. And I do apologize if lazy eye is a slur of some sort.
It sounds bad, but I don't.
If it is, I'm not aware that it is. So
I don't know.
Anyway, so Wait Until Dark. Audrey Hepburn is pretty, and she's in this movie. So
there you go.
I mean, in the 60s, that seemed to be enough. And again, I don't mean to poop on Audrey Hepburn. She's fine. She is serviceable. She is adequate. I've just never thought she was particularly genuinely good or particularly gifted at acting. She's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so next movie, November 12th. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think what everyone really wants to know is this the best MCU movie? Well, there is Morris. And aside from Morris, there are 2 giant fluffy kitty monsters in the movie.
There are.
So, yes, this is demonstrably, mathematically, unequivocally the best MCU movie. There's some people in it, and they say things.
We also have Tony Leung in sexy man bracelets.
Sexy man bracelets. That's right.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I remember when I did my review of it, I talked about how I'm not sure how many people could pull off that look, and God, he does.
Disney was like, okay, so this scene takes place 4,000 years ago, so we're going to have to do the digital de-aging thing. Tony's like, I'm like, now you're good.
He's good.
It's fine.
Fine.
That's how Disney works. They just hired an actual immortal.
basically they did. I swear.
Now, when I saw the trailers, I thought, oh God, I'm blanking on her name. Shoot.
Aquafina.
Michelle Yeoh. I thought the woman that he was doing the House of Flying Daggers fight with in the forest with the pretty leaves, I thought that was a digitally, because it's a quick thing in the trailer, I thought that was a digitally de-aged Michelle Yeoh, and it's like, oh, that's a different person. Okay, Michelle Yeoh is like the older sister or something like that. She's a completely different character. I'm like, oh, okay, different person. But when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh wow, they digitally de-aged Michelle Yeoh. Okay, and then I watched the movie, I'm like, oh, that's not her at all. That's a different person. Where's Michelle Yeoh? And then she shows up later in the movie.
Yeah, she's like the leader of the tribe. Yeah.
One of the spoilers, by the way, for a movie that came out several months ago. One of the things going in I was very interested to see is how they would handle Trevor Slattery. I was really hoping that Ben Kingsley, that they'd have a coda for Trevor. Yeah. Justice for Trevor.
And
I was not I was pretty confident that he'd be in the movie, that they'd at least address that.
I was so not hard to keep a straight face when I was going over this movie, and you were like, "I think."
Don't look at me.
Like this, there's nothing here. Guys, I'm a terrible liar. Like,
yeah. So I was not expecting, and was very pleased to find out that Ben Kingsley is not just in the movie; he's a co-lead. He shows up and he doesn't leave.
He doesn't leave, and freaking his best friend Wilson, Morris. But not Wilson. Morris, thank you.
Like the fluffy butt monster.
Oh my gosh! And like he's like, Morris says go, like now, go, like just like everything. And you're, oh my gosh! And then when they play dead, and he's like, Morris, and Morris is like, I got you. And he's like, good job. And then they play dead, and I'm like, oh my.
Yeah.
And only Ben Kingsley. Like that, man.
Oh, he's now. I know a lot of people felt that, or a portion of the fandom didn't like Iron Man, what they did with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Right.
And I get it, because it's not the Mandarin, but that was literally the point. I thought it was great. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. And I do love Wenwu, I think Tony Leung's character's name is. He's like, yeah, they appropriated this thing and named it after a chicken dish. I'm like, yeah, because white people gonna white people.
Yep.
I enjoyed the movie. I really liked it. Action was good. I felt like it kind of, I found the human, have you seen Eternals?
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about it more next month.
Yeah.
But just briefly as a point of comparison, the Eternals climax are the Eternals fighting amongst each other, battling out their differences. Character against character, and it's great. It's thematic, it's dramatic, it's juicy, it's wonderful. The end of Shang-Chi, like many of the MCU movies, devolves into let's punch the big CGI monster. Sure. And it's fun, it's a spectacle, it's cool, but it's not as interesting to me dramatically and thematically. I was much more interested in the conflict between Shang-Chi and Wenwu when they're facing off, but then the big CGI monsters come in and it just becomes a mess. And again, it's fun, but it's not as dramatically satisfying to me. So I would ding Shang-Chi in that regard. But I really, what is the name of the Ta Lo? I think I love the mystical magical land of Ta Lo, where the big fluffy giant kitty monsters live.
Oh, sure.
And the nine-tailed foxes and the birds that are on fire and the weird looking horses. I love Ta Lo. I just, it's like I love how green and yellow and red everything is. I love the mystical floofy monsters that are running around all over the place. And again, big giant fluffy kitty monsters. I love that. This is a weirdly paced movie because it's like there's like 4 acts instead of 3. It's weird because it's like, okay,
that's true. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, that's true.
It's another movie where I was like, okay, we're at Ta Lo. The bad guys are going to invade. We're going to have a big fight. We're in the last 15 minutes of the movie. I have to go to the bathroom, pause the movie. Oh, Jesus, there's an hour and 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
What are we doing for another hour?
I know. Yeah.
There's a whole other act to the movie first.
Yeah.
Not that it's boring or too long or bad. I was just like, I felt like, okay, this is where the climax takes place.
Yeah.
Pause the movie. Hour and 6 minutes left. I'm like,
but it doesn't feel.
No, it doesn't.
Like that. It's surprising. Cause like, I mean, we've talked before about like when you pause it and you're like, are you kidding me? Like, or the other way, when you pause it and there's like 2 minutes left and you're like, what? They're going to resolve this in 2 minutes? Yeah.
I like the fact that Katie, Awkwafina's character, I like the fact that she is not instantly Legolas. She's just naturally good enough at archery that she can hit a target with an arrow. Like, so can I. And like she doesn't suddenly she doesn't, it takes her a couple hours, but she figures out how to shoot a bow and she can hit a target. She's not Legolas or Hawkeye or anything. She can just hit things. And it's like, oh, she makes an impossible shot. No, she doesn't. She hits a kaiju in the throat. It's got a really big throat.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that it's like, okay, I could see her making that shot. She wasn't like impossibly far away, and it's a really big target. It's not like she had to hit it in the eyeball or anything like that.
But I like the fact that because I know that I was concerned about her. Again, I really like Awkwafina. Let me be clear. I think she's fun.
I've only seen her in a couple movies like this one, the Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
But I find her personality and delivery amusing. So I've enjoyed her.
But I was nearly afraid in this movie that she was going to not fit into the world because she was just going to be that sarcastic, whatever. But she truly has a great character arc and through line, and that she tries they go through. And you're right, it's not very long that she learns archery, but it's a few days. They have 3 days or 2 days or something like that.
At least one.
At least one.
She's there for
They go
enough that she can knock an arrow and she can hit a target size. But I mean, target,
if you gave me a bow and an arrow and for 8 hours said you're going to do nothing but shoot at that target, God help me if at the end of 8 hours I wasn't at least hitting the target somewhere.
Yeah. If you're in range and Godzilla is holding still, you could hit Godzilla in the throat, unless you really suck at archery. So
I used to do archery, and you have the you have the little when you're a beginner, you have
the forearm guard.
The forearm guard,
because you don't snap yourself in the arm.
You always overextend here. Because when you're younger,
especially when you're young and you don't have the strength,
and you don't have the strength.
Yeah, because you'll end up doing that.
And the problem is with me is that I got my arm welted so many times because I'd have the forearm guard here, and somehow I would reach back and it would start hitting me here. So I'd bring the forearm guard up, and it'd be like, all right,
hit lower.
And I'm like, what is wrong with me? So I would constantly have the welts on my arm. It was still fun.
Forget the character and the actor's name. I think she's brand new. But the woman who played Shang-Chi's sister, I thought the character didn't have a lot to do except just kind of stand there and be annoyed. But what's funny is I was watching some of the behind the scenes stuff, and that actor is a very up, happy, giggly personality. She is like nothing like her character.
Oh, really?
And I love the fact that at the very end of the movie where she's taking over the Ten Rings dynasty, that character moment where she sits down is like,
yeah, baby.
Fennec, what's her name in the end of The Mandalorian? Ming Wa, what the hell's her name?
Ming Na Wen.
Ming Na Wen. Her getting the jug of blue milk and just posing on the throne. She's like, yeah, this is life. We gonna be badasses now. She actually had some personality coming forward. And I was like, oh, there's an interesting character here. I don't think the movie really allowed that character as much room to be. I mean, it's a stuffed movie. It's long. So we'll probably see more of her later.
We'll follow up. Yeah.
Also, for a world-conquering institution that's been around for thousands of years, they seem to only have like about 5 houses on the side of a mountain somewhere. It's not a very big compound. It's like we were very subtle about it. we didn't. Yeah, that's how we stayed off the radar. We just got this small little compound up in a mountain. It's fine. We don't need to expand. We don't have shareholders. We don't need to do the infinite growth thing. We have what we need and we're good.
Amen.
But yeah, the fights were well choreographed and well shot. Maybe a little over energetic with the camera movements in places.
Especially the end when he's like on the dragonish thing.
But mostly the hand-to-hand combat stuff I thought was very good, well planned, well
scaffolding
well shot. The scaffolding was great, especially that bit where Katie was falling off that was really well shot.
Oh yeah,
just the planning and camera movements and how that whole sequence, that specific sequence was
executed. Yeah, I liked that a lot.
Really well done. I have no idea how they technically did that, because I mean, they're obviously not on the side of a building, which means that they either had like the glass of the building windows is reflecting the city behind them. So either this whole set, the stage, was in front of like, they had like a really big video screen, like the volume that they were using in the Mandalorian. And they were projecting a city so that it could reflect in the windows, or they had no windows and they had to CGI in all the windows and the reflection of the city. I'm like, I need to watch it behind the scenes and see how the hell they did this sequence. I'm like, oh, that looks annoying.
So I saw an interview.
And then some poor asshole digital artist has to rotoscope all the people flying around. It's like, oh, God damn it.
And that's the thing that I find so impressive, because we forget, or maybe we don't, but that film is just a whole bunch of individual frames. Mm-hmm. So you can look and you can draw and erase and stuff frame by frame in an entire movie. And that I think is what's so impressive. I forget that sometimes in the editing of a film, that everything that you just shot, you can, and you're like, oh crap, look, there's a Starbucks cup here and it's in 42 different frames. Let's just, it's such an interesting thing that they could very easily have, well, not easily is the wrong word, but just taking that and been like, all right, let's draw. So
it's like the whole bus sequence, that was definitely, the San Francisco outside the bus would have had to have been put in there later.
Yeah.
And if I had to get, they probably took out all the windows there and had to paint in reflections and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, what a pain in the ass making movies must be. So anyway, so Shang-Chi, I quite enjoyed it. And I love and I would go sing karaoke with Wong too. It's like,
Yes.
go home and get some rest. You'll need it. It's like, okay, we could do that. Or they go karaoke. It's great.
So funny.
So I liked it.
Good.
All right.
Oh, good. Okay.
So not all movies are terrible. Not all movies. Hashtag not all movies.
You lied at the beginning. And you did it with such a straight face. I don't know what to look for.
Acting. I don't know. All right. What did you watch in November?
So I watched on the airplane off to Palm Springs. I watched Here Today, the one with Tiffany Haddish and Billy Crystal. Very exciting. So I was very excited to see Billy Crystal in something because it's been a spell, I think, since I've seen him, and I just like him. He's so. What are you trying to think of the last thing he was in?
Yeah.
I know, right? I do not know. So let us know down there. Like, what was Billy Crystal in recently?
I still have IMDb open.
Or
I'll look. Tell me about the movie.
So anyways, it was so Billy Crystal, pardon me, has Alzheimer's, and it's becoming more and more, difficult for him to remember what he's doing. So he has to have a routine every day. Like, this is what I do. And he has Post-it notes that with his family's names on them and pictures so that he, just to try to keep it. And he's not telling people because, old people and their pride. I can't wait till I get old enough to have like foolish pride that people are like, oh my God, Eisen, what the hell? I look forward to that when
mostly television stuff. And other than that, some stuff, but mostly television and voiceover work, like in the Monsters Inc., Monsters University, and the new Monsters at Work
stuff. I forgot
that
they're doing the monster stuff. Okay.
Some movies here and there, but mostly just TV stuff.
Okay, that's fair. So he plays a late night writer for a late night comic writer and blah blah blah. And he's great. And Tiffany Haddish plays a singer, like street performer singer. So she's not super legit, but she always has a place to go to sing and get money and whatnot. And their paths cross by happenstance. Of course, just as these things go, and they become friends. But it's actually quite, at first, when they first meet, and like her character, I don't quite get, like, it takes you a moment before you're like, is she playing some sort of game? Like, did she plan this out? Is this, so what this was, her ex-boyfriend was, or
best kind of boyfriend.
Yes. Oh, no. I would have to say that no. Emphatically. This is all true. So Tiffany Haddish is her character.
It's not even a joke. I don't know why I laughed at that. That's stupid.
Ex-boyfriends are the best. Yes, that's why they're exes. This is all true. So Tiffany Haddish's ex-boyfriend in the movie was like a big fan of Billy Crystal's. And so he being the ex-boyfriend, won a lunch with this, writer and blah, 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 blah. Well, Tiffany Haddish got all pissy with the ex-boyfriend, and so she stole the lunch. And so she went on the lunch date with Billy Crystal. And so she even says, he's like, oh, so thank you for, bidding on me in this lunch or whatever. And she's like, oh, I don't even know who you are. I'm just doing this to piss off my ex who really loves you or whatever. And Billy's like, oh, great. And then she has shellfish and her face explodes because she's allergic. And so Billy Crystal comes with her to the emergency room because he's like a nice guy who doesn't really understand what else to do type of thing. Like, I don't know what I would do either if I'm like at a lunch with someone and they blow up. I'd go to the hospital too, just because I'm like, well, I was I need to see this through type of a thing. Like
I'm involved now.
I'm involved now. So that's how they kind of, but then she finds his address and she goes to pay him back for the medical care because like she didn't have insurance, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, is she gonna be a grifter? Is she gonna like, so it took a moment for me to trust her character, but then the movie does a really good job, and I don't know exactly how, but they do a good job at somehow turning it from she's maybe crazy stalker or I don't really get her motivations into no, she truly is just, you know, a free spirit, but also a good person, and you know, is trying to do the right thing by paying back Billy Crystal. And so she keeps coming to him to give him installments for, because you know, emergency room care ain't cheap. So she keeps coming to give him installments, and then they just do something together when they get together. And it's just a sweet movie. And she's the reason why he ends up telling his family. She's like, you need to let them know that you're not doing well. And she decides that she'll be his caretaker because he has an episode and, you know, he's getting worse. And she's like, I'll be here. I'll take care of him. And he's like, you shouldn't do that. And everyone is always asking, they're like, what is your relationship? And they always look at each other and they go, I don't know. But they're not sleeping together. They just, and it's such a weird, because they make, they do talk about that because people are like, what is this? And they truly just love each other very much, but in a very
you have to define it. I'm uncomfortable if I can't put a label on it and put it in a nice, neat little box.
Exactly. And so, but
stop making me uncomfortable. Your relationship is about me.
But I love that because I'm just like, not like, you know, because it really does like shed light sometimes on how people can't understand, you know, but why, or like what it, you know. And it's funny because Billy Crystal and Tiffany Haddish will just look at each other like, I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like we truly deeply love each other, but who cares? Like what we're up to and why I have this vested interest in him and he has this vested interest in me and whatnot. Like why does it matter to you? We know what we, you know, and so I really do love that. And of course it has, there's a lot of comedy in it, but it is
those actors, that's not terribly surprising. They're both funny,
correct,
so.
but it is a drama in the fact that it does focus on, you know, that whole like when your loved ones get old and don't remember your name. And let me tell you, it is like my number one fear, even though dying doesn't really sit well with me. We know it's gonna happen.
Generally not a fan.
Generally not a fan. But there's that part of me that I'm like, okay, if it's gonna happen, that's all well and good, but like I just want to know the names of every person by my bedside or what, like I want to know the names of everyone and like memories of them before I croak, right? Like Alzheimer's is truly, truly terrifying. Like terrifying. Yeah. And I don't know how to not get it, really. But I, you know, so it's
so one of the unknowns currently. Although it kind of like not being bothered by anything once you're dead. Once you have Alzheimer's, I've known a couple people with Alzheimer's and none of them seem particularly bothered or frustrated by it. Early onset dementia, I've seen frustrate people, but actual Alzheimer's doesn't seem to bother them at all. Like you don't have the capacity to be annoyed. Yeah.
When you are still semi-cognizant and you know as your brain is deteriorating, like
that's got to be frightening. Like, yeah.
You know, I mean, that's why I just call people by their relationship to me because I know their names are going to go. I'm like daughter, son, cat,
brother.
I'm like, I know how you're related. Your name, actor, person on screen. So yeah. So it does end how you would expect it to because it has to. And but it's lovely all the way through, and it makes you want to cry if you had a soul brother, and I don't. So there's that. I watched it and went, that was sweet. That was tender. Yeah, I know. You and I were born without emotion.
Yeah, but I've been over the decades. I've been learning to fake it. So.
Hey, oh, that's so sweet. Like you're like, oh, you're misty-eyed. Okay, hold on. I got it. That's the thumbnail, me doing this. That'll get the clicks.
There you go. All right. Actually, I'll just use the picture of
Olivia looking out.
I'll just use that as the thumbnail. It has nothing to do with the video, but it's a cat. So what?
Click here for kitty
That's
cat.
right.
Now she has run herself into a nap. So that's good.
Okay. The zoomies have ended.
And all this right. Zoom continues.
Yep. Haha. So the next film I saw was The Harder They Fall, which is a Western action film on Netflix, which was announced.
The name. That's a cool name.
Yeah. So it was announced last summer, and it has a murder's row of awesome actors in a shooty shoot Western action movie.
Okay.
And it looked absolutely badass.
Okay.
And
who's in it? Who is this?
Murder's row of awesome actors. Okay, so we've got Idris Elba, Jonathan Majors, Regina King.
Love her.
Delroy Lindo's in it. Lakeith Stanfield, the awesomely named Zazie Beetz.
Yes.
Like a ton of awesome people are in this movie.
You had me at Idris, but the rest are pretty good too.
Yeah, Idris Elba. Say no more.
I'm like, good.
That's all I need to know.
Own murder's row of awesomeness.
Yes. There are two murders row. One of them is just Idris Elba.
Is
a row unto himself. This movie is bad, as all movies are, which makes me very sad because I was really, really looking forward to it. One thing I did not know going into the movie is that all of the characters are named after historical figures, like Nat Love, Cherokee Bill, Stagecoach Mary, and others.
Okay, so let me ask then, are they named after these characters, or are they these characters?
As far as I can tell, Bill Pickett, another one. As far as I can tell, they're just using the names of historical figures. Now, I'm not a historian. This is not my area of expertise, but I mean, so it was it's not a problem with the movie per se. It's just something that I thought was kind of weird because it seems they just took the characters' names because they're nothing like, so far as I'm aware, they're nothing like the actual historical character.
Okay.
For example, Zazie Beetz, and again, that's one of the awesomest names.
Yeah.
She plays Stagecoach Mary.
Okay.
Who, in the movie, is the owner of a chain of saloons, which I don't know that Stagecoach Mary owned any saloons. If she did, I'm not aware of it. Maybe she did in her early days, and Zazie Beetz probably 30. I don't know how old she is, but so this is a younger version of Stagecoach Mary. But Stagecoach Mary historically is known primarily for, well, the stagecoach stuff, the whole the postal service thing that she did where she delivered mail and never missed a day. And that's has nothing to do with her character. They just used the name. So I think they just, and it's made me wonder, it's like, okay, but why are we using all these historical character names if these aren't, there aren't even like spins on the character? They don't, as far as I can tell anyway, thematically inform anything that's going on. Like there's no reason for Zazie Beetz to actually be Stagecoach Mary, other than that's a recognizable name from the 19th century somewhere.
Weird.
I don't know. So why is the movie bad? Well, What did I write? I said the characters are flat, the dynamics non-existent, the plot unexplored, the finale is a mess, the director's bolder attempts don't work, and the soundtrack is the worst. Oh yeah, oh god, the soundtrack. Gee, with Willikers and Eck.
What is it? Is it like today's songs?
You know what? I honestly can't even remember. I've blocked it out of my memory. I just remember
okay.
that it made me want to punch the movie.
I won't make you relive it.
Like, this movie is littered with cool actors being cool and looking cool, and they're cool, but man, none of the character interactions work. Like, I don't buy any of the relationships between any of these characters. And I don't think it's an acting and chemistry thing. I think it's just I don't know what drives really any of these characters. I mean, there's the basic, Idris Elba's the bad guy. He killed Jonathan Majors' mom and dad when he was young. So now Jonathan Majors is older. He's gonna revenge his parents. Okay, I get that.
Okay.
So Rufus Buck, another who I know nothing about. There was a Rufus Buck gang.
I do love the name Rufus, though.
Great name. I don't know anything about it, but so he's a bad guy, and they break him out of prison, or he's being transferred. It's a government conspiracy for something. So he and his gang go to Redwood, the little town of Redwood, and he goes and talks to the mayor, the guy who runs the town, who used to be part of his gang, but he stayed to run Redwood. And he's like, you've been exploiting this town, so I'm going to pistol whip you half to death and throw you out of the town. Okay, now I'm going to take over the town and exploit the people in it. Y'all are going to raise $15,000 in taxes or I'll murder you. If you speak out against me, I'll murder you, and then I'll burn down your property.
What's this rude?
What is his plan here? So is he just a hypocrite? Because he seems to be going to do the same thing that he pistol whipped the guy who was doing the thing that he's gonna do himself. I guess he's like, no one gets to do it but me. But he seems to have like a dream, a goal that he's shooting for, that his gang members believe in. And I'm not clear what that dream is. It seems like it might be, I'm going to create a town where Black people can be safe, and I'm going to murder all the Black people here and steal all of their money to do it.
Prove it.
So why is anyone following you? Why would anyone bother to bust your hypocritical, horrible asshole self out of prison? I don't know. I don't understand what his thoughts and goals and themes were. And then, of course, it turns out that, he and Jonathan Majors are actually brothers or half brothers or something like that. And that it was a whole ploy so that Jonathan Majors could find him and kill him because he felt guilty for killing their father. And what? No, what?
I feel like that's one of those, the first ending was not tested well with audiences. So they're like, well, crap, now we have to figure out something else to do.
Some of the action is fun. The director, whoever the director is very bold, makes a lot of bold choices. Not all of them work.
That's right. I'd rather a choice than not a choice.
I respect it. Unfortunately, because I didn't like the movie, my mind has kind of flushed all the specifics and just
you and I have that
like this
same thing. Like when we don't like something, we're like, why didn't I like that? And then if it's too long, I don't remember what were we watching the other day. I saw a preview for something, and this would mean so much more if I remembered the name of the movie. But I was like, oh, I love that movie. That was, and like, it filled me with good feels. I'm like, I totally remember that I loved it. I remember nothing about the movie. It had to be a Christmas movie of some sort, because that's what all of the channels are like, promoting right now. And if I am going to watch anything that has a commercial, it's going to be TV, and it has Christmas stuff on. And I was like, oh, I love, and then I was like, I have no idea why I loved it. I forget why I love, like Prep and Landing. That's freaking love Prep and Landing.
So that's
so
the
good.
animated Christmas thing, right?
So good. But I yes, and it's the ones who go before Santa to prep the roof.
The rival for Santa, yeah. That's fun.
But I forget anything else in it. And I'm like, but I remember I like it. And then we're the same. So it's just like brother and I remember feelings. We're like,
I remember how I
hated that movie.
I remember what I thought of the movie. I don't remember why I thought that way, because I remember there were a lot of bold choices on the part of directors as far as like camera work and editing go. And I'm like, wow, that's a bold choice. I don't think that works, but I hope this director keeps working, because I think they definitely have a vision, they have a passion, they have a lot of cool ideas. This feels like an early, if not first movie. And I hope they keep honing their craft. I don't think this movie worked though. Its character interactions don't work. Its plot makes no gosh darn sense. It does have some clever. I do remember one thing that I thought was particularly clever. So Zazie gets kidnapped, and Rufus Buck is like, okay, now you go steal money because your gang stole from my gang and I want it back with 10,000 interest. So you go rob a bank or something, bring it back here, or I'm going to kill Zazie, who is just a much more fun name than Stagecoach Mary. So they're going to go rob a white town, which, as the name implies, is a town with only white people in it. But it's also literally a white town. Like, all the buildings are white. Even the dirt on the ground is like white. All of the wood is like this white. It is so white. It is hilarious. I'm like, that is a choice, and I approve of this one. That one is funny. I really liked it. It's literally a white town.
It's whitewashed.
I mean, just the whitest.
That's awesome.
I'm like, okay, that's good. I really liked that. The movie does it. There's so much cool in the movie, but the movie from a character narrative standpoint fell flat for me in pretty much every area. And that makes me really sad, because I was really looking forward to this one. Oh well. So the next movie I watched